Welcome to RB's Kitchen Talk, where we pull up a chair, keep it real, and talk about the things that shape how we live, love, heal, grow, and become. So, tonight we're talking about living life by design. And if we're going to be real, sometimes we can become so busy doing life that we never stop to ask ourselves, am I actually living the life I was created to live? Well, tonight my guest is Carmen Cruz. She's going to help get us moving in the right direction. Carmen is a clarity and alignment strategist and founder of Strong by Design coaching and consulting. Welcome, Carmen.
Thank you,
I,
Rhonda.
you're welcome. I am excited to have you here with me. Now, Carmen's going to lead tonight's conversation. And yes, she may even put me in the hot seat, but that's cool. So pull up a chair and let's get to it. All right, take it away, Carmen.
Again, thank you so much, Rhonda.
You're
And
welcome.
you're right. That was the greatest opening is about today's talk and about living by design, right?
Yeah.
And so I always start asking people the question by asking people, who are you really? Because oftentimes we don't stop and ask ourselves that. And oftentimes we don't even know the answer to that. Like, who am I really at my core? Who am I? And that's exactly what you said. Life moves. And before we know it, we're just living a life that was thrown at us. And that's what we talk about, living by default and not living by design.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And I'm excited that you brought me on. And I just kind of want to go back because it was all ordained, right? Think about how we met,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Right? We were where?
Yes. We were
Not here.
not in this country.
No, we were in France, right? We were
We
on a
were.
food tour. My daughter and I were doing this beautiful mother and daughter trip. It was right before she was getting married, and you were designing your life. You
Mm,
were on a solo trip, which I envy,
mhm.
and you were at a pit stop in Paris, right?
That's right.
On to Greece, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we were on a food tour.
Hmm.
And there were a bunch of us, and we were all chatting and exchanging, right? We exchanged numbers, and some of you all went out to dinner later.
Yeah.
And you're the only one that I'm still in touch with out
Yeah.
of all those people,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And that is amazing to me,
It's it is. It is.
you
It is
know?
amazing. It's amazing because at the time, we didn't know anything. There was obviously some a kindred spirit, some
Yeah.
chemistry. Like we liked each other, enough to
Yeah.
exchange numbers, but we didn't know. But God
We
did.
had Jesus as our common denominator, right? We both
Exactly.
were believers, so
Yes.
that bonded us as well, right?
Yes. It certainly did. That's right.
And then there was no kitchen talk at the time. Was there kitchen talk? I don't remember.
Well, there was a kitchen talk because the
Okay.
trip was after COVID, and kitchen talk started during COVID
Okay.
because I had other designs for kitchen talk, and it was like where everybody's home. So
Yeah.
France and Greece were after the fact. So yeah, we were doing
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I had just learned about it after knowing you
Sure.
and had popped in on a couple of kitchen talks and heard your topics and thought that they were amazing. And so again, I thank you for having me on. And before I even go any further and get you in the hot seat, I just wanted to talk a little bit about who I am, right?
Of
And
course.
how I got here.
Mhm.
So I'm a federal worker. And so in the beginning of 2025, the ground started to shift and things started to change in my career. And and I still do have this great career. I
Mhm.
have this great career that I loved, but then all of a sudden it was in jeopardy.
Mhm.
And it, and I was standing the chance to lose my job. And quite frankly, we still can be losing our jobs, right? And it was time for me to sit back and obviously get on my face and start praying and being like, all right, Lord, what's next?
Hmm.
If this goes away and if this chapter closes, what's next?
Sure.
And as I was praying, and strategically behind me is this vision board that me and my girlfriend in 2016 created.
Is that right?
And up in the back corner of this vision board, it said coach, because always found myself
Yeah.
giving advice or coaching people through transitions as a person who has transitioned so many different times and so many different periods of my life
Hmm.
in my career, moving, being a military wife. There were so many different transitions that I did. And I always found myself as the person that people would come to and be like, hey, like, let me run something by you. And so I felt, oh, maybe one day I'll coach. And I
Yeah.
threw it on that vision board.
Hmm.
And there it sat because I had this great career. So I wasn't going to pursue it. Why?
Sure.
And then here came 2025. And then I prayed, and the Lord reminded me
Hmm.
of coaching. And He reminded me not in prayer, but through someone else. So I was just talking to somebody, just like putting my
Mm.
feelers out, like, what should I do? I was thinking about consulting because that kind of walks in line with my government job. Like maybe I'll do some financial consulting, just trying to throw things out there. And then someone said, Carmen, what about coaching? And I was like, then I remembered the vision board. It was like things started to unlock.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
then I created my company and I said, I prayed about it and I got the name Strong by Design, Coaching and Consulting. And that was it. But then I was like, all right, if I'm going to coach, I want to coach something that people need, like that people
Yes.
really want. Right. And yes,
Hmm.
finances is important. Don't get me wrong. Being financially stable, knowing what to
Sure.
do with your money, all of that is good. And I had been doing it and I had been working in that field for 15 years and still am working there and love it. But it just hadn't landed with me. Like it just didn't feel like a niche. And so I started
Yeah.
praying and asking the Lord to just show me a niche. I did some couples workshops because 39 years of marriage, my husband and I find ourselves coaching people all the time, not because we have a perfect marriage, but we coach them because we have an imperfect marriage, right? It's perfectly imperfect,
Hmm.
right? So we
Hmm.
can check all the boxes. We've been through a lot of things and we coach people that way. So maybe that's it. And we did a few couple workshops and those went well, but not that I don't want to work with couples, but it still hadn't landed. And I'm like, there's so many couples coaches. What is something that people are going to say, oh, why should I go and sit with Carmen and have her coach me? And so
Sure.
I was driving, I was doing cruise camp. Everybody knows about cruise camp. And I was driving last summer with my granddaughter in the back seat, picking up the rest of the cruise campers. And I decided I was
Hmm.
going to listen to a podcast. And I had never listened to a podcast. And someone recently said, Carmen, you had never listened to a podcast? And I was like, no, I had never listened to a podcast. I listened to books. I
Hmm.
listened to a lot of things. I hadn't listened to a podcast yet. So I didn't know what podcast to listen to. And I was like, you know what? I love the Today Show. I'm going to listen to Hoda. Hoda just left the Today
Okay.
Show. I'm going to listen to Hoda. And then I started going through her podcast, just like scrolling through it, and I saw she was interviewing a author. And I love books. So I said, sure, I'm going to listen to this author. And it was Professor Susie
Hmm.
Welch. And she was talking about her book, Becoming You. And there
Okay.
it was. So I
There it was.
listened to this podcast and I was like, I'm going to read this book. And I read the book and I was like, this is it. This is my niche. I
Okay.
think I need this. How
Mm.
am I going to coach this? I go, this woman is going to sue me for copyright infringement if I use all of her stuff. start looking up
So,
Susie Welch, and I get
yeah.
on her website. She's an NYU professor, and she has a coaching program where she certifies people to teach the methodology. And I'm like, that's it. So
Okay.
I decide I want to do this. It's a great investment. But I said, before I do it, I need to go through this myself. And she also
Okay.
at through NYU, you can go do a 3-day intensive, but it's a
Uh-huh.
whole semester in a weekend, basically. And it's 8 hours a
Okay.
day, but it's a group, 135, 150 people in a room for 3 days.
Mhm.
But I wanted to make sure that this wasn't
Mhm.
woo-woo. This wasn't something that was just another book.
Of course.
Obviously, with the
Yes, of
credential of
course.
NYU, you think, of course, NYU is not going to be putting out this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what the becoming new methodology in this class, she offers it to the NYU MBA students. So these are people going
Interesting.
through getting their masters. And then she
Interesting.
democratized it and brought it out to the general public, right? So I
Okay.
went through and it landed, and it
It
started
landed.
giving
Okay.
me language to stuff that I kind of knew about myself, but I really didn't
Mm.
know. And it gave me framework to understand why I make the decisions I make. And so that was it. Then I became a certified becoming you practitioner. And and the becoming you methodology is a methodology that's it's grounded in the idea that your purpose lies in the middle of three sections: your values, what
Mm-hmm.
you want, what you feel deeply, the desires you have deeply, your
Mm-hmm.
aptitudes, what you do
Okay.
well cognitively and emotionally well, right? How your brain
Okay.
fires, right? And then the
All right.
third
Uh-huh.
lane is your economically viable interests. What interests you and
Mm.
what's a viable interest for you? And at the center of
Mm.
those three things where you find your area of transcendence, your thing that you wake up in the morning and you say, I can't believe they pay me to do this. Like,
Mm.
when I'm doing
Mm.
this, I feel at my best.
Yeah.
That's not to
Yeah.
say that you're not going to have bad days. That's not to say that there won't be a day that you feel off. And you will. But what it is that think of it like you're writing a book, right? And instead of now you being the editor of the book, now you're the author. So
You're the author
you're
of
the author of the
life.
book
Yeah.
now, because before you're editing, you're just living life as it throws at you and you're trying to correct it. But as the author, you're writing this book. And if you have a bad day,
Okay.
you have the pen and now you realign it,
Uh,
right? So
That's good.
this is the methodology that gets you there. And
Okay.
it's work. Rhonda, this is not woo woo. This is work. It uncovers some stuff. This is the class at NYU that they say everybody cries. People cried in my immersive. People I've coached have cried. I cried
Mm.
because it uncovers some stuff, and it's not therapy. So it's not
All right.
therapy.
Okay. Okay. So what's the difference then? What?
Yeah.
Why do you say
So
Yeah.
therapy is obviously you're with a uh, trained therapist, number one, right? I'm not a trained therapist. I'm a certified practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
However, but
Mm-hmm.
therapy is backward looking. Like, what happened to me? And
All right.
how does it make me feel? Right. And that's, you're looking at the past, right? But
Mm-hmm.
becoming you and coaching is forward looking. And I'm not saying don't go to therapy. I'm saying go to therapy, deal with those things. But also, I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying now let's move forward and into the
Okay.
coaching, and let's figure out what exactly drives me. What is it that I want? And now we have some language around it. And now we can start moving to the life I'm living as opposed to the life that I
Mm-hmm.
want to live. And what this methodology
Mm-hmm.
does is we take by the values bridge that you were so graciously appeased me and took before we came on today, last week.
Mm-hmm.
What it does, it takes how Rhonda's living now and the life that Rhonda wants to live, and we look at the gap. How closely you're looking, I'm sorry, how closely you're living that life,
Okay.
right?
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Carmen, are you saying that that gap is where, we hear purpose all the
Yeah.
time. Are you saying that that's where purpose lies? Like, this is the reason I get up every morning because I'm fulfilling purpose? Or is it something, or is it a
It's
nuance
a
of that?
nuance of that. So I would say that the authenticity gap helps you get to the purpose when you're dealing with just the
Mm,
values, right? But remember, it's a three-legged stool. So once you grasp your values, which is 16 of them, right? The Welch
okay.
Bristol Values Bridge. And believe it or not, there are people in this world, there are scientists in this world that are studying values. So there are a number of values, people that have what the values are. And most people can't even tell you what a value is, right? If you ask people, what are your values? Usually they say 17% of people can tell you what a few values. Most people will quote you a virtue or a moral, honesty,
Ah,
kindness, those things. And those are all good and you want to have them, but they're not a value. A value is something you desire, right? Kindness is
mm,
how you should act, part of your character, but that's not a value. And so in the Becoming You methodology in the Welch Bristol values, there's 16 of them. And they
okay.
encapture, and we don't have time to go through all 16, but we do have time to go through your top 5.
Oh boy. Okay, we're going five.
We're gonna
We're
we'll
going.
go with 5. And I have some notes
Okay.
and
Okay.
we'll
All right.
talk a little bit more about that.
So
But you have some questions, so I don't want to cut you up. Yeah,
yeah,
ask me your
just
questions.
no, just I just want to make sure. So you've got your
You have your
values.
values.
There's 16 of them.
Hmm.
Okay. And then you've got your aptitude, those things that
No,
you do well.
those things you do well. Exactly. So your
Okay. Okay.
aptitudes,
Those.
this is an assessment.
Uh-huh.
This is not you coming in and me just saying, "Oh, Rhonda, you organize very well." This is an 87-minute assessment, and not just one. We have several assessments that we take you through. This is work,
Okay.
right? And then we figure out how your brain fires, right?
Mhm.
I'll give you a
Mhm.
quick tidbit. Do you
Okay.
have a
Go
pen?
ahead. Yes.
Do you have a piece of paper?
I came with a
You
pen
are
and paper. I
okay.
prepared.
Rhonda, do me a favor.
Yes. Go
Just
ahead.
just write your name in cursive real quick.
Okay.
Okay,
Done.
great. Now with your left hand, write your name in cursive. Now you sighed a little
Done.
bit, but how did that feel?
Well, it's not so much how it felt, but how does it look? But it did not.
You
It did not feel comfortable. It wasn't comfortable.
correct. And so
Yes.
so before I take anybody through any assessments and start the work of the aptitudes, I do that with them to let you know that there are things you probably couldn't do, right? But not
Mhm.
comfortably because your brain fires and says, I'm a right-handed person, right? That's what
Mhm.
how you that's what fire how your brain fires. This is comfortable, this is what I can do. But when you went with your left hand, even though you could do it, it wasn't as comfortable and it doesn't look as good. So there's a little bit more of a struggle. There's a little bit more of a challenge to it. It doesn't feel fun. Or I shouldn't say fun. It doesn't feel natural, right? And
Natural. Yes.
so when
Yes.
we uncover your aptitudes, we will find out what is natural for you. How does your brain fire? This is not about how smart you are. Everybody has a brain, and everybody's brain works a different way. Yours not better than mine. And that's the other thing that the Becoming You methodology is. It's non-judgmental. It's agnostic. The values are agnostic. There's no one better than the other. It's just how they're ranked and how they present in your life. Just like the aptitudes. There's not one aptitude better than the other. It's just how it performs in your brain. So
Understood.
we go through like spatial, like you could be a 3D thinker. You might not be a 3D thinker, but that doesn't make you smarter or less smart, right? It just says
Mhm.
probably this field or would not feel comfortable for you because your brain doesn't work that way. So here are fields
Understood.
that work better for how your brain works. And then that's when the third leg comes in, the third leg of the stool. So let's just say, Rhonda, your values say you're non-sibby, which non-sibby means you like to help people innately. That's a value of yours, putting people and helping them. And then your brain fires that you would be a great nurse, right? And you're like, yeah, but every time you see blood, you throw up. Well, guess what?
Oh,
That's not an economical viable interest for you. That is not something you want to be going down, and or the road that you want to be going down, right? And and this
right.
is not just for the person that's looking for a transition in their career. This is also for the person that's the third halfer. Like, I have my career behind me, but what's next? I've lived for
That's
everybody
good.
else.
Yeah.
I've lived for the
Yeah.
man, or I've lived for the
Hmm.
woman and supported them.
Hmm.
And now I'm here, and it's time for me to think about me. And I need to know who I am and what I value and how I get there. And
Yeah.
that's so it's for everybody.
Yeah. And I was also thinking, Carmen, that there are people who retire from the federal government or
That's
state
correct.
government, and they're thinking, what do I want to do now?
Yes.
And so this is also for
Yes.
them because maybe they weren't able to do that
Right.
during their employment life,
Right.
and they can
Because
now.
back
Perfect.
to the life by design and by default, sometimes we take the road that's the easiest, right? So
Yes.
we talk about the road of expedience, right? That's, like, it's
Mhm.
easy. I'm gonna join the military. Like, for my family, my husband joined the
Mhm.
military. It was the easiest road traveled. Let's get up out of here. And it got us out of New York, where I'm from, and it put us on a road. But then I'm living by default, right? Because I'm a housewife, I'm with my husband, I'm following him, but it got us out. It was the easiest road out, right? And
Sure.
that happens
Yes.
to a lot of
Okay.
people, right? Like, okay, I graduated high school, I became a CNA because that was easy, or whatever it is. Or people that work in the DC area, I got into the government, great job,
Mm.
secure. There's nothing wrong, there's no shame in that job. And now I've been doing it because it's a great retirement, and I would be foolish to give this up. But is it really who I am?
Yeah. That's real
Right?
good. Yeah.
So, is it
It's
really
not.
who I am?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
never
so
too late.
great. It's
It's
wonderful.
never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. So, Rhonda,
Okay.
are you ready, my friend?
I am. I am.
Okay, so I have Rhonda's top 5 values in front of me, and I have my notes here because Rhonda and I haven't discussed her values. We said we were going to do it live so we can get
Yes.
a good reaction and see, you know, how you feel about what you saw? Did you get a chance to look it over a little bit? Did you
I
review the
did.
values?
I
Good.
did. I did.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yes,
I'm
but some of
glad.
the terms I wasn't familiar with, obviously. So, but
Of
yes, I did
course.
take a look.
That's because you need a coach. So there you go. But Rhonda, so your top number one value is
Okay.
cosmos. And
Oh,
cosmos is faith,
okay. All
right?
right. Okay.
So when we say cosmos meaning faith, it means a spiritual faith, not anything else but you and a higher power, whoever that is in your life.
Okay.
No matter what religion you are, that is where your number one value lies.
Okay.
Were you surprised by that?
I was not. I was not.
Good.
Yeah. Because when I was taking the survey, the assessment,
The assessment, yep.
I kept coming to whenever there was an answer, a question, I knew where I scored. So I wasn't surprised that it would be fairly high. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, that doesn't surprise you, but your second value was voice, the authentic self-expression.
Okay.
And it's voice, that value is the wanting to express yourself authentically.
Okay.
And your report shows that you want more of that right now.
Okay. All right.
So
All
that
right.
means that it's important to you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's number two.
Okay.
It's what you heard deep, right? But
Yes.
right now, so this is the authenticity gap, right? So there's
Yes.
a gap. So
Okay.
it's saying that you want more of it. And how do you feel about that? Like,
I feel good about it. I feel that it's absolutely correct.
okay,
And
okay, that's what I'm asking.
I also know that the limitation has something to do with my very first, my high cosmo.
Your
Because for
cosmos.
me, it's not just a higher power. It's how I was raised. It's how I grew to know Christ. And it's how, certain things you don't do, certain things you don't say. And that conflicts with my authenticity
Right,
because I want to say what I believe is real, although it might conflict with how I was raised.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
So I'm there. I'm with you.
Okay. So
Okay.
so so far,
So
so
far,
far
so good.
you so far so good. So far so good.
And I'm
And
feeling
so
nervous now. I'm feeling nervous now, but go ahead.
but don't feel nervous. Don't feel nervous because you know what, Rhonda, I'm not surprised that voice is number two for you. Look at you. You have a platform. You're a minister. That's another way that you are able to express your voice and serve, right? So
It's true.
now, but there's a gap.
There's a gap.
So then we work on later, not here,
Yes.
what that gap looks like
Hmm.
and what we do to get you more authentically to yourself to where you can
Hmm.
please the Lord and not the
Hmm.
expectation. Because I heard you say,
That's true.
right?
Yeah,
I
you
heard
did.
you say how I was raised. You didn't say what the word says. You said how I was raised.
That's right.
We're not going to preach on this. Okay. We're going to move
Oh.
on to eudaimonia.
All right, Minister. Go ahead.
No, no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no. No, no, no. But I will say eudaimonia is number three.
All
Eudaimonia
right.
is the Greek word for joy, right? That's where that word we're using comes from.
Mhm.
It's wanting more pleasure and well-being in the moment,
Mm.
right? So, and it's saying that you want more of that as well.
Mhm.
So that's what your report is saying, that you want more of that. So let me ask you this question so I can
Mhm.
help bring this home a little.
Okay.
When was the last time you, Rhonda, gave yourself permission to just enjoy something with zero productivity attached to it?
Mm. The last time.
And you don't have to answer it, but it's something for you to ponder if you don't know.
I'm a workaholic. I'm always
Oh, we don't say that. No, 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 no,
okay,
no.
but I'm always doing. I'm always doing.
And you're right, because your sixth value is work centrism, and that's what you called workaholic. But we don't have any negativity in the values. You value work. And it's okay to value work. You like to work, and that's okay. There's some people that love to work. Think about the person that has a full-blown career, they retire, and they're like, I got to do something else. And they go and they work at Walmart, and they're just giving out the tickets because they have to get up and they have to do something. That's not a workaholic. We don't call it that. Work is at the center of what they value. My grandfather used to get up and he would be working all day long. He was always doing something. He couldn't sit still. That was work centrism. And it's number six. And when I coach people, I like to look at your top eight, and your work centrism is at six. But I can see where eudaimonia and work centrism would conflict
Yeah,
because you're working. So
right.
now you know that your number three value is that you want to do something in the moment. You want joy in the moment. And the other thing about these values is, what does it mean to you? Eudaimonia to me could be reading a book, sitting down, reading a book, doing nothing. Eudaimonia to you could be working out. Eudaimonias to somebody else could be hiking, being out in nature. That's the joy of the moment, a massage. So that's what eudaimonia means. And that's important to you.
Yeah,
And
it
and
is.
that's on your assessment, it's more important to you than work. So we got to find some balance there.
Right, right. And I think I mentioned the work value because I do so much of it, and stealing time for
Mm-hmm.
myself is important. And I don't know that I do enough of it. But yes, I agree. I agree with that assessment.
And then your number four is affluence.
Mm,
Affluence is wanting to be rich, wanting
mm,
to have money,
mhm.
or wanting to be financially secure, and where that lands with you. So for you, it could be like, I don't want to be filthy rich, but I do want to be financially secure, and I don't want to have to worry about money.
Indeed.
So, indeed. So there you go. And is.
It is. Amen.
Right, exactly. And then your fifth one is, and this one, I knew you were going to have this in your top five. I
Uh-huh.
said, Rhonda is going to have beholderism in her top five. And beholderism is the value of beauty. And that is in how you look, how your space looks, how things look. You are always going to notice how things look, even when you're not trying to notice. Some people might say, oh, you're judgy, but it's not. It's that you appreciate beauty. That it's in my top values too. You want to be put together, you know? Your space has to be put together. There's no shame in that. However, there is a tension between beholderism and cosmos, right?
Mm,
And just because there's a tension doesn't mean there's an automatic conflict. For some people, cosmos and beholderism sits just fine. But for others, it can show up like maybe feeling guilty because the way we were raised. Um, Feeling guilty about spending money on how your space looks, or feeling guilty on how you present yourself, or maybe you feel a little bit too indulgent, and maybe your faith pulls on not being so indulgent. But it could not be that at all for you. You could be like, no, I'm okay with that. And I'm not saying that your report doesn't tell me if this rings true for you, but it shows you what could be, and then it's up to you to reflect and say, is that tension actual conflict, or is it okay? Does it live okay with me because I know how to balance this? And so that's something to think about.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know that there's
There you
as
go.
much
And that's
tension
fine.
as the assessment may. If anything, it is that I never want to prejudge someone based upon, uh,
How they appear.
yeah, my standard. You know what I mean? So if there
Yeah.
is tension, that's what it
There you
is,
go.
because
Okay.
everyone is different.
Yeah. And that's good. So there you go. So yours is not good. And on the flip side, you have some harmonies.
Okay.
So your agency and your cosmos. So agency is one of your values. It's the value to want to drive the bus, but it's down in your peripheral. So that's not a top value for you. We have all 16 values, but you don't have to drive the bus. You can, you're not the person that has to be in charge. You don't have to lead. You can if you need to, but you don't have to. So
Mm.
that's not something that drives you. However, there is a harmony because you don't have to lead, you can be led. That's the cosmos.
Ah, that's good. I like that.
You see what I'm saying? So
Do.
because your agency is low, so low, you don't have that conflict because you can be led.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and lastly, there there's a thing called the authentic life score that you will see on your report. And right now, yours is a 73, 100 being the best.
Okay.
73 is not bad. Where the what you're called an approacher. So what that means is you're standing right at the edge of a fully authentic life. So you don't have a lot of tensions. There are some tweaks
Hmm.
that need could be made, right? So that we can get to out. So we don't find you in default, but you're probably in deliberation almost to design. So you have a little work to do to get to where you're designing this thing.
Okay.
But that's what the report shows. And that's just like I said, this is just the values bridge.
Right. Because there's the aptitude and then there's the economic
Viable
piece.
interests. What
piece.
interests you? Yeah.
Yes.
And then the aptitudes.
And the
Mhm.
aptitudes. Right. So after
Tell
you've
me.
gone through this full assessment, what is it that the individual will be able to say wholeheartedly with assurance? What's the outcome? What's the result of this whole assessment?
So when you're asking, are you saying the values assessment, or are you asking about
The
the whole
the
methodology as a whole?
exactly, as a whole, the aptitude, the economic. Uh, Once a person has gone through the entire assessment, what is the outcome? What does it tell that individual about themselves? About themselves?
So it's going to tell them the areas that they feel most alive, right? And where you feel most capable, like where you feel most aligned and alive, what your values show, where you will feel it. Now, it'll also show you how you're not there, right? But it's all about reflection. This is some work. Like this is all the assessment. This is telling me what I can do. Listen, I coached a gentleman who was cynical. He was like, "Oh, this is woo woo, you're wasting your time." But then he agreed to let me coach him. And as we started doing his values, everything started to unlock for him. And the aptitudes validated everything that he already knew, kind of felt inside,
Mhm.
but it just gave him language to then get on the road to alignment. Does that make sense?
It does. And so for him, what was the alignment? Where was he trying to go? What
Well,
was
so
it about
now,
the assessment that made it clear to him?
so he was a government worker,
Mhm.
and he's trying to make sure that he is aligned with where he is. what his job is now. And actually, he actually was in a good job. So there are just some tweaks that he has to make, right? So what other tweaks do I need to make to where I feel like I'm living my purpose at work now? At home, his values told him a whole different story. What tweaks do I have to make in my ministry? Because obviously, he was faith faith led, and it started giving him language around what he desired, where there might be a tension that's pulling one value from the other, and it just gives him language on how he needs to look at things and where he needs to go from there. And that's all about coaching.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So talk about the coaching then. I mean, what is it that how is it that someone would benefit? Obviously, going through the three legs of this whole assessment. Um, but suppose someone was saying, I really don't know what God wants from my life, right?
Yeah.
I'm fairly comfortable where I am at work. I just, or it could possibly be they're great where they are in ministry, and they just don't know where they want to be in terms of employment. How would you coach them into making sure that they felt they were living on purpose?
Right. So carnal purpose, right? And then you're talking spiritual, right?
Hmm.
So the biggest thing I can say to you as far as the coaching goes is that faith asks, who is God calling me to be? Right? And what this will help is help you to identify what has God put inside of you, like your values,
Hmm.
how deeply you value that, how you're wired, what you're naturally good at, and what kind of work and contribution draws you. Then prayer, scripture, counsel, which is coaching and also leaning in, and and discernment, right? That so this is not going to take the place of discernment, but this is going to basically fuel the discernment, because now you understand yourself, and now you go back to the Lord and say, Lord, this is what I have. This is
Yeah,
what I value. This is how my brain is wired, right? And now that's when you start, as a faith-based person, asking the Lord to put all those things together for you.
yeah. And I just want to, I don't want to take away from from your presentation,
No, no, no,
but
no.
how important is understanding your value to understanding yourself? Because you mentioned early on that many times, we don't know what we value. We look at, attributes or interests, and not true value. How much of what we value determines who we are? Because there's so many people that struggle with who they are, what their identity is.
Yeah, this is some work. There's no real hack to this, Rhonda, right? So it's a lot of self-examination through all of these assessments and through through the work. So it's uncovering everything and just sitting with yourself and understanding yourself better, and why you make the decisions you make, why you potentially are going through the same cycle over and over again. Those things, this will help you to give language to that. Oh, I understand now why when the grandkids come through the door, I'm like, they're wearing that. Oh, beholderism is high for me. That doesn't
Mm,
mean I have to say it, but that beholderism is high for me. But it also, I'll give you a good example.
yes.
This is a great example. So I have a son who, one of his top values is non-city. Number one for him. He helps everybody. If you need somebody, he's the guy you're going to call. Call him, he's going to help you. He's going to help you. He's going to drop what he has to do. He's going to help you. But he doesn't vote. And I'm like, why don't you vote? You care about everybody. You care about everything. Like, why wouldn't you vote? It was driving me nuts.
Mhm.
And then I said, let me go back to his values. I pulled his values. There it is, non civi. That's the help, number one. But radius, the desire to change things systemically, that's a value, was in his peripheral. That's why it's not a value to him. So he's like, I don't vote. I care about my community, but I just don't. And it helped me to understand him better. And it gives you understanding on why people are the way they are and make decisions the way they make decisions. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And in turn, it helps us to understand who we are, right?
Yes. It
Because the
helps you to understand who you are. Like, what is the drive? Why am I always on the grind? Affluence is up there on your top five. I'm grinding because why? Affluence is strong for you,
strong,
right?
right.
So,
So I'm assuming this assessment is also going to bring into balance, right? What we may be experiencing too much of, right?
yes.
Okay,
Ooh, that's
okay,
a good one.
okay.
So, that's a great one. So, family centrism.
All right.
That is the value of family, not belovedness, not your partner. It's family, it's your kids, it's your extended family. That's family centrism. So some people, my family centrism, you would think it's one of my top values. It's not. It's down in my peripheral. It's a value. I love my family. I just don't want to make decisions around them, right? I do not choose to make, or I do not desire to make decisions around them, right? I do not want that. But my values bridge shows me that I'm overexpressing. That means I'm still making a lot of decisions with them in mind and I'm not at a balance with that. And so it'll show you where you're overexpressing in a value and where you want less of that. You're like, okay, or maybe work centrism might be something that it's a value, but you're overexpressing. Maybe you're working too much. I had a client that was working too much and they were overexpressing there. And I'm like, okay. And then the eudaimonia was there, but they had a gap. So now where do we balance that? Okay, maybe I step back and I think about what I need to do so that I can feel more fulfilled in my values.
Yeah, yeah. That's an important word you just mentioned, fulfilled.
Mhm.
I think we live so much of our life unfulfilled.
Yes, and that's because we don't know ourselves. We don't know ourselves. So we are on the hamster wheel. We are living like, I know that this is a great saying, but it's not a great saying to me, in my opinion, when it comes to living life authentically. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That means you're living in default.
I don't agree with that either. Yeah,
Right.
I
And
don't agree.
and you consider yourself a strong person because you made lemonade. Great. And that's good. You survived that. But now figure out what you're going to plant and
Yeah,
what you want to grow,
right. Yeah,
right?
yeah. And that's the conflict. That's where the imbalance exists in many people who are really high on cosmos, because the teaching is that we are to be concerned about everyone else, and we should not be as concerned about ourselves, because we are to give and we are to forgive and we are to do this, and so we take the back seat. And what happens is it leaves us unfulfilled. It leaves us making lemonade.
But what about John 10 and 10, where it talks about that the Lord wants us to live life abundantly? Why aren't we not being taught about that scripture?
Well, it's because tradition has us being, the servant, and the servant doesn't live abundant. It just really
But the
goes back.
scripture says that the Lord wants us to live
I
abundantly, Rhonda.
I get it. I get it. But there are certain scriptures that we traditionally have honed in on as
So
opposed to others. So,
that's the four horsemen
mhm,
that I was talked about earlier, and I didn't name it as a four horsemen, but that's the expectation part, right? So the
yeah,
four horsemen, we have them with ease. So there's expectation, economics, why you do what you do. It could be the expectation, the expedience. It was the road easy, the easiest road to travel. Economics, it paid the bills.
mhm.
And wait, expectation, expedience, economics, and my phone is going nuts. And there's another E, and it's leaving me now.
Mhm.
But that's one of the horsemen is the expectation,
Yeah.
right? We're living somebody else's expectation. You're being the editor of the life instead of reading your word for yourself and praying and being the author
Yeah.
and get it
Oh,
directly from the Lord,
I love it. I
right?
love it. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I
I,
know you're not.
but there is that rub, and,
There
uh, and,
is.
and you have to be independent. You have to be someone who believes in what they read and understand what they read and are fully convinced, because it requires that in order for you to take a different path.
And the fourth horseman is the event. So
The
some
event.
events happen to us. Like I had to do this because my mother passed away when I was a teenager and I had to get out there and support the other family. So there's an event, right? So there's the four horsemen, the E's.
The
So yeah,
ease.
you're right.
I love this because you brought to light about values that I think I may have known, didn't know how to put them into words as becoming you, or this assessment
Mhm.
has made clear. But at the same time, it's helped me to feel even more strongly about what's important.
That's exactly right. And we've only gone over five, and
And
they're
we've only
16. And they're 16. There's so much work here, right? Not just for you, for everybody. There's so much work. And look, in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, it's unlocked a little bit, right? It gives you some language. It gives you something to go back and chew on and think about and pray about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now tell us a little bit more about this coaching and consulting work, and how someone can take advantage of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to share a QR code. So I let's see, allow to share screen. Let's see. Is Can you see my screen? Share
I
entire
I
screen.
can, yes,
Yes,
yes.
there it is. So January, I'm starting a cohort, and the cohort I'm only taking 10 people. If you are interested, you can scan that QR code and go to my website and send me a message and just put Rhonda Kitchen Talk,
Mhm.
and that's going to be your code, Rhonda's Kitchen Talk. And then you'll also get a discount. So the cohort will be 4 weeks, and I will take you through the entire methodology. So it will be 90 minutes for 4 weeks. And then I also have an in-person workshop that I'm working on, which would be a full day of a values immersive.
Mhm.
And it'll be obviously the values-based assessments, but we'll be doing a lot of work around excavating your values. By the end of the day, we will have dug up your values. You'll have language. I'm working on that. That's going to be in person in the Northern Virginia area.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then I also offer one-on-one coaching. So usually my one-on-one coaching are 6 sessions, and they're anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes. And we do 6 sessions and we take you through the whole methodology. You get one-on-one time with me. It's much different than being in a group or at a workshop. This is me and you going in and digging deep, and this is the work that I'm doing.
It's excellent. It's excellent. I am so impressed, and I have become a believer in this short period of time.
That's
What more?
awesome.
Yeah. Now tell me, what more do you want to say about? Let me ask. What is this
Yeah.
called exactly, so that when I leave, I can refer to this coaching program as what exactly?
Yeah, so this methodology is called Becoming You,
Becoming
right?
you. Okay. All right.
Becoming You is the methodology. My company is Strong by Design.
Okay.
You will hear me, I'm on social media. You will hear me always talking about living your life by design. And this is the methodology I use to
Okay.
help people. And because I am someone that it helped, I went through this. At the end of it, I went up to Professor Welch and I was like, this methodology just told me, because at the end of the methodology, it's going to give you 4 paths. So like 4 different paths to that you could take, right? Four, and we can talk about which one looks like which path you can go down. And this is if you do the whole methodology. This is not the 1-day workshop. This is either the January cohort or the one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
And I had done it, and I went down there and I said, Professor Welch, look, this is what I've been doing at the government. That's why I didn't give up my career. And she said, yeah, but you're being Doge. So now you pivot. So then I looked at the other path, and there it was. It was coaching. I already knew coaching was it, but it showed me coaching.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And now when I'm coaching, I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I love people. I love dealing with people. I love communicating with people. And when somebody sits there and has and I'm going to quote Oprah, the aha moment
Hmm.
with their values, I
Yeah.
feel energized. Like that's my area of transcendence. I'm like, "Ugh," like right now, I feel like I'm floating because you had things unlock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so that's what this is going to give you.
Yeah. So now, when someone decides to scan this QR code, and I'm loving this, it will provide all of the information they need in order to
So
enroll.
the QR code, if you see, it'll go to carmencruzcoaching.com. So if the
Mhm.
QR code for whatever reason is not working for you, you just can go to carmencruzcoaching.com,
Okay.
and then you can click any of my call to actions. There's one in the right hand corner that says let's talk. On the bottom of the main page, it'll say contact me, and you'll just send me an email, and then you and I will get in touch with each other, and we'll have a discovery call, see what road is best for you,
Mhm.
and we can go from there.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. I just want to make sure that folks have all of the information they need and know how to
I
access
appreciate
it.
that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. Is it okay that we unshare this now?
Yes, let's unshare this.
Okay.
Let's see if Carmen knows how to unshare this. Oh, I don't know. Well, let's see. Hmm. I apologize, Rhonda. This is my
It's
first time
okay.
using it. Oh, there it is. I got it.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Okay.
All right. So,
This is
all
my first time using this platform, so
that's fine. You did fabulous. I am so happy that you came on this program. I have been made more aware of who I am, and I'm grateful to you for that. Thank you so very much.
well, thank you
What
for
would
trusting me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, Well, let me just ask you, if there's one last thing you'd like to say, what would it be?
I would say live your life by design. I would say you have, and I'm going to quote Mary Oliver, you have one wild, precious life. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to do with your one wild, precious life?
Yeah. I have to ask myself that often. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you to all of those who have joined this kitchen talk. I hope that you um, have received something that will help you become you from this day forward. Please take advantage of Carmen Cruz's offer to participate in becoming you. Please do that. I think you would be extremely blessed by doing so. Please subscribe to RB's Kitchen Talk.
Yes.
Share and like this video because I'm sure there are others who would also be blessed by it. Thank you, Carmen, so very much for being with me.
Rhonda, God bless you, and we'll be in touch.
We will. All right. We'll
All right.
talk soon. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.